Good morning, everybody. I'm Daniel G. Garza, and this is another episode of Put It Together Conversations. Welcome to the show. I want to welcome everybody on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Thank you for joining us this morning. Encouraging you to please sign up, follow us. If you're on Facebook, we appreciate the subscription, and make sure that you like this video. Put It Together Conversations. Sorry, I lost myself for a minute. Put It Together Conversations is a show about folks. It's a show about you, where you come from, where you are now, and what the journey has been like. And we hope that today's conversation encourages, motivates you, and inspires you to go after your own dreams and your goals. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest this morning. Let me put up her name here. Desiree Lutz is the creator of Instant CalMag-C. She is originally from South Africa and resides in the U.S. Desiree has been helping people with stress improve their health conditions and addictions for more than 40 years. For her, helping people is the most important thing in her life, whether with basic information about their bodies or guiding them on how to look for what's best for them. Her philosophy is that all symptoms people experience are an indication that they have deficiencies or excess in their diet. And without much, let me bring her on. Let's have a little chat. Good morning, Desiree. Welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you. Good.
We were chatting a little bit beforehand, and we realized that you're in Florida and I'm in Laguna Beach. So we're going coast to coast this morning, folks. Welcome. I do want to acknowledge and thank Barry for putting us together. Barry,
Yeah.
I just lost your last name, Barry. Hold on a second.
Keziah.
Thank you. He brought us together, so we want to thank him for bringing her over to the show. So I was going to make the joke, but then we were talking right before in the free interview. My joke is always when somebody comes from somewhere else, I'm like, oh, so your accent sounds like Kentucky. But you were telling me that somebody has already made those jokes to you before in another interview, correct?
The guy said to me, so which part of Texas do you come from?
Which then sounds funnier because I'm from Texas. So there you go.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, South Africa is where I'm from, but the South Africa and Texas are very similar in size, country, as land size. Very similar.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show. I'm so glad that Barry connected us. I went through your website, and we're going to post that up in a minute. But I feel like there's so much to you. So I'm going to shut up and let you talk. So Desiree, tell us how you put it together.
Okay. I was a detox specialist a long time ago, but then I wasn't doing it for a while. But then there was an area that was doing this detox program, and they couldn't find any vitamin B1 in the whole of Johannesburg. And this program uses vitamins. You help drug addicts, you help people that have in the past been exposed to chemicals or drugs, you help them through the program so that they can detox and get rid of those toxins, so to speak. And they couldn't find the B1. So there's no ways I'm going to allow that to happen. So I jumped in my car and I drove all over Joburg, and that's a big place. So everywhere I went to pharmacies, I went to health food stores, and I couldn't find any. So I started to get suspicious, hang on a second, B1? Is Big Pharma interfering and stopping us from getting this or whatever? I got, all skeptical. Anyway, so then I just decided to call the laboratory that manufactures the vitamin, the B1, in another city. And I called them and they said, oh, no, it all went out on tender to the hospital for the alcoholics. And then I'm like, oh, that's cool. I like that. Except I need it. So we need some too. Anyway, so the guy said, why don't you go to our warehouse in Johannesburg and go and see if they've got any? So I drove over there, and in South Africa, it's way more relaxed. You can get into places where you normally in this country you might not be able to. It's a very, very, just so the lady says, sorry, we don't have any. And I said, please do me a favor, take me to the shelf in the warehouse where you keep it. And so she did. And on the shelf were 6 bottles of B1. And I said, oh my goodness, can I have those 6 bottles? She said, yeah. So anyway, so they allowed me to buy that. And then after that, I decided I'm never letting this happen again, that they can't get the supplements they need for the program. So that's how I started my business.
That's interesting. So, something we didn't discuss beforehand,
Yeah.
talking about addictions and such. I've been clean and sober now 14 years. So I have a background in alcohol and drug addiction. I became a
Okay.
professional at that. But it's interesting that we're not taught that. That's not talked about in rehab, because I went to rehab. So hello to
Right.
all my friends in Dickinson, Texas. But that was never brought up. Everything else is spirituality and religion and staying in meetings. But I don't remember a conversation about my body and vitamins.
Right.
And how did you get started into that?
Well, it was part of my church does that, so I was part of it. So, but
Okay.
basically, let me give you an explanation about. And we're very against drugs and all that type. I mean, if you got a heart problem, you go to the doctor and you have to have, which I don't agree with, but then you have to have that. You're not going to be stopped from having that. But this is what happens. All these toxins, whether it's drug, you see, the human body can offload to some degree some of the stuff in the body. So if you consume some stuff or you get some chemicals or stuff, your body can offload some of it, but it can't offload all of it. So what happens is it deposits it in the fatty tissue and it coats it in fat and deposits it in the fatty tissue. Okay, so now your body has got all this side products of whatever sitting there. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you're in a pub with your wife and a guy is flirting with your wife and doing whatever, and you get mad. So you go and you punch each other, you and the guy. Whatever, I'm just making a story up.
Mhm.
And then, but you're getting drunk or whatever. Okay, so fine, you go home and you're kind of over it. But now what happens is, let's say you at work and you haven't eaten, or you're just tired, or somebody is part of your body is not operating to its optimum. Oh, just hang on a second. Sorry, just hang on a second.
Sure.
I didn't expect that to happen.
Uh-oh.
No, it's my battery on my computer. So I'm just plugging it in real quick.
Sure. So while you do that, I will. Uh,
I'm plugged.
well,
I'm plugged.
don't worry, folks. You will not believe how many times I've sat here and been in the middle of an interview and go, "Why is my laptop unplugged? What is going on?" So,
Yeah.
or my earbuds die all of a sudden in the middle of a conversation and I
Oh my
can't hear
God.
anything. And I'm like, so
Yep.
it's okay.
Anyway, so back to my story. So let's
Yeah.
say you're sitting at work and you're hungry and whatever. So what happens is the body gets energy from the fat in your body. So let's say it pulls that piece of fat that just happens to have coated those alcohol particles from that upset with your wife. Um, so this gets pulled into your bloodstream. Now what happens is it releases in your bloodstream, and all the memories and things related to that particular particle get stirred up. So let's say you were angry, then you might suddenly just get angry for no reason, apparent reason. So this is what it does, so it sits there until you remove it, and that's the point of this particular program, is to get all the particles, the drug particles, the chemical particles, because I mean you get chemicals and I'll tell you another one about another very, very serious one. They all deposit in the fatty tissue. So they're sitting there waiting to be released when you need the fat. Now,
Right.
the worst particle that we get radiation from all kinds of things. We get it from the sun. We get it from flying on planes. We get it from just all the crazy stuff that certain people are doing on the planet with radiation. And I mean, there's some crazy stuff, which I won't go into that, because I'm just telling you about how so all of this gets deposited in your body. Now, the thing about radiation, it doesn't discharge from your body. It builds up. So more and more radiation, it's building up, and it's a very, very dangerous, um,
Wow.
um, whatever you want to call it, item. So when you go on this particular program, and I'll tell you a little story about when I did my first one a long, long time ago. You take these vitamins, which are very specific. It's all done very. Let me use the word technically. And part of those vitamins is one called niacin. Now, niacin is B3, but it's not niacinamide. The amide suppresses this, what I'm going to tell you now. Niacin in its true form is just niacin. So what happened when I was on it, the program myself, all these places where the sunburn entered my body got very, very red. And just the parts where by my boobs, where my bikini top was and my bikini bottom was white, white, white underneath. Everywhere else was red. And so that's what niacin does. I mean, that's what radiation does. It goes in at that point. Like even people that have, I guess, cancer treatments and all that, they will all be getting okay. So you know what I'm talking about. So that radiation is very dangerous and bad for the body. So niacin, which is part of the program, pushes out the radiation. I have 100 milligrams of niacin every day with my vitamins. Some days I have a reaction, and many days I don't. So I keep it out. So my reaction is very minimal. You know what I mean? So you can test this for yourself, but just be prepared for lots of uncomfortable phenomena. But just hang in there because it'll go away. Because
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Let me just remind everybody you're watching Put It Together Conversations. My guest today is Desiree Lutz from CalMag-C. I'll post the website in just a minute. I want to welcome all our friends on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Thank you. We're talking about radiation and niacin and taking care of your body. So this is so really interesting because you're touching on a lot of factors that have affected me personally. Addiction. Okay. I'm a anal cancer survivor.
Wow.
So I went through radiation and chemo, and I'm only 6 years out, because it was 2015. But and they tell you when you're going into it, it's not a common knowledge, but people tell you that radiation and chemo will stay in your body for about 10 years before you actually let it all go. But now listening to you, I'm like,
it doesn't let go.
If you have radiation in your body, you're like a magnet for more radiation. Is that what you're saying?
Not so much that you're a magnet, but any radiation that enters your body builds up in your body.
Gotcha.
So let's say you had what you described there, or even me. If I'm sitting out in the sun a lot and I just keep getting sunburn, and it builds up and it builds up, and then I go on many flights. I fly a lot because I won't get into that subject today, but pilots are very, very, anyway, that's another story. But basically you get a lot of radiation and it builds up in the body, and it's kind of like a bottomless pit type of thing, So if you can test it with I wouldn't take a lot of niacin to test it. I would say take 50 milligrams or so, but be prepared for the reaction. It's not going to be comfortable. But just to give you the reality of it, I think it's a good idea to do it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I help people with all kinds of stuff in their bodies, but that's a very, very important factor. So basically, so this builds up. So the story I told you about the guy getting drunk with blah, blah.
Right.
This happens to everybody. So any upset or incident you've had related to a piece of that toxin or drug or whatever that's now deposited in your fatty tissue, anything that when that comes out, you're going to have the mental or the reaction to it. So if you were depressed, let's say, you're going to feel depression again. Let's say you were crazy, like kind of thing. You might get again. You know what I mean? It's kind of so those particles are really bad. So anyway, so that's the program that they were doing in Johannesburg. And when they couldn't find the B1, this was like a big issue for me personally. And so, as I said, I set out and I got the B1 and then made the decision that I'm not going to let that happen ever again. And I started my business. I used to be called Helping Hands Life Improvement Center. I still have that here in South Africa, but I've now got a doing business as Sunshine Vitamins because Helping Hands, so many people ask me, are you a charity? Are you whatever? The name doesn't, anyway, but so,
Right.
but now just another factor. Just before I move on, the radiation factor. If you're low on calcium, and there's other minerals too, but I haven't got all the information here with me now. But if you're low on calcium, your body will absorb strontium-90, which is one of the radioactive particles. There's a lot of radioactive particles. Strontium-90 is just one of them. And if your body's low on calcium, it will absorb the strontium-90. Now, calcium is your major bone building. Calcium is vital for every part of your body and many hundreds of functions, but specifically bone. And so if you don't have enough calcium in your body, and I'm not even talking about the bad stuff that deposits in your body, that doesn't work because it's not in your body and being part of your system. So basically then your body will absorb strontium-90 and deposit it in the bone. So now a lot of people probably who get bone cancer, I'm just going to, it's a guess thing, is probably because of that. And there's various other
like
things.
osteoporosis type thing?
Yeah, anything, anything related to that part of the body, that structure.
Gotcha.
So if you get, and here's another thing, the calcium is so vital. It's the most abundant mineral in your body. In fact, you have glands called parathyroid. They're on either side of your thyroid. So it's not part of the thyroid. Para means alongside. So they're alongside. There's these 4 little glands, and their job is to balance the calcium in the body. So I often get people saying, oh, my doctor says I got too much calcium. There's so much false information. And if you've got too much calcium, it means it's not getting into the bone. And there's another whole story, which I won't go into today because it'll go. But so basically, it's vital that you get calcium in the right form. But I can tell you more and more. When I came to America, I started my business here as well. So I don't do all those vitamins here, but I do have access. That part of it is still that's not not my American part. So basically,
well, let me ask you this, because you are an encyclopedia of knowledge when it comes to vitamins and supplements. Where, just so that my audience can get to know you a little more, where does this passion come from? How did you first fall into this?
More than 45 years ago or something, I wasn't falling pregnant, and I found Adele Davis. She's a nutritionist. I don't know if you know of her because she's no longer around. She's like one of those old type nutritionists, the ones that I consider to be genuine. They know their basic body stuff. I mean, another one that I admire and love is Dr. Royal Lee, who founded Standard Process Vitamins here in America, and he's great, but I only found him here. So Adele Davis, she's got the books that I bought was Let's Get Well, Let's Have Healthy Children. And while studying that Let's Have Healthy Children book, I found out that I was deficient in certain things. And this was contributing to, sorry, I just want to do something in my eye here. This was contributing to my not falling pregnant. And so I started on following her program, and it made such a change. And my daughter's now she's over 44 now. So
wow.
It's
Congratulations.
yeah. So it's really the fundamental. I always consider your body is your basic foundation of your physical life. Then there's a spiritual aspect of you. But if your body's not in good condition, it's going to have a negative effect on you mentally. And well, even not really spiritually, but I'm going to say spiritually.
Yeah.
So it holds you down. So people that are deficient, let's say, can be depressed. People that are deficient can be having aches and pains. They can be constantly in this kind of mood. PMS. This is another major, major thing. I guess your audience knows what PMS is.
Yes.
At least that's a common word for South Africa and America. So basically, I've actually got an article on my website about that, and especially for the men, so they can understand what's going on with their women.
I fully believe that we have our own cycle period, and now that I've turned 50, I believe in Andropause. So I know that I wholeheartedly, and then after chemo and radiation, it stirred it up more. So for the gentleman watching this show, it is very true. We have our cycles, and we have our the male version of menopause. So
and it's called andropause. Yeah.
Yes, the andropause. Yeah.
Andropause. Yeah.
I when I researched, just side note, I researched that when several years ago, when my father was starting to go to some changes, and we didn't know what was going on, and this is back in Dallas, and I went and asked my doctors, like, do we go through the change? And so this is like 20 years ago that I knew about this. So I was waiting for it to come to me. I was like, I am ready. Like, let's bring it on. Okay, so but back to that. So,
and the interesting thing is, I've never had PMS or menopause symptoms, and
interesting.
And the only thing that for me makes sense to me is because of my diet and nutrition, because I was taking care of my body properly. So it's interesting. But anyway, get back to PMS. Yes. But yeah, menopause, andropause, we've all got them pause.
We all got the pause. I'm going to use that line. We all have the pause. So yes.
And some of us dramatize it and others don't.
but there's something very interesting that you mentioned, because I'm a firm believer in my spiritual teachings and coachings that I do with my clients.
Right.
That there is, I'm going to talk about me. I require a balance of body, mind, and spirit. I need to take care of my body, make sure, especially more after cancer, I started to pay more attention, but make sure that my body, like, talk to my body every day, like, what's going on? What are you doing that? Make sure that my mind is stimulated on a daily basis as much as I can, but that also my spirit is in good place. And you're talking about anger and building that up. That also affects our body, doesn't it? It changes the chemicals. That's what you're talking about.
Everything. Yeah. So, I mean, that's a whole subject that I could get into, body, mind, and spirit, but we'll just carry on now with so PMS is a very interesting time. And I have seen so many people and helped so many people with this particular thing. Adele Davis talks about PMS. So 10 days before a girl gets her period, the calcium levels start to drop. And right on the day she gets the period, it crashes out. So then you get all that crazy stuff, that pain, that curled up feeling, can't go to work, or whatever. It's so different for everybody. And it's totally a calcium deficiency. And it's just amazing how, and another interesting point about calcium, but the particular calcium that's in my CalMag, it's a very specific type of calcium. It's called calcium gluconate. It's not calcium carbonate or rock or any of those things. It's called calcium gluconate. And what it does is it converts to a certain type of calcium in the body, which I won't say because of the words can be confusing, but it does. So and it is the most powerful painkiller. It is more potent than morphine. And I'm going to give you my own personal story here on this. When I went into labor with my son, who's my second child, he's now 36, my husband in those days that we didn't have the instant one like I do now, to sell and easily make for people. We got the raw materials, and then, so it's calcium and the magnesium and the apple cider vinegar. He made a 2-liter flask, so this big flask of CalMag, and we took it with me to the hospital. And while we were there, of course, I don't know if anybody's watched or experienced labor. It can be very intense for a lot of people, and like really intense pain-wise. So I drank 1.5 liters of that CalMag that he made. You know how much pain I had? Zero pain. In fact, it was funny because I was also a bit too relaxed. So the command from the delivery people was push was more intense than normal, because I had to really push harder to get my son out. But I had zero pain. Zero. It's like, it's a funny experience. And it was like, so I'm not encouraging people to have 1.5 liters of it, but definitely a lot of it will definitely help the contractions and the relaxation.
This is really like not that, I mean, you're very interesting yourself. I'm so glad that we're having this conversation, but I'm in the advocacy world too. I'm in the patient leader business. So I've been HIV positive for 20 years and worked with a lot of people with chronic pains and because of cancer and my ostomy. So there's a lot of health issues that have cropped up over the years. So I belong to a lot of organizations that work with people with chronic pains and illnesses. And not that we're looking for a miracle drug, but we're always looking for something to just make us feel better. Because I tell folks, when like my normal pain in the mornings that I've gotten used to is like a 20% compared to somebody else. It's just normal. For the last 15 years, it's just what it is, and you just don't think about it.
Yeah.
And you start to believe there's nothing else I can do to change what's happening.
Yeah.
But then you come along and you're like, wait a minute, let's just change your vitamins, the way you're doing things. Not that we're doing anything wrong. Let's just adjust things, correct?
Right. I mean, I do have a problem with OxyContin and oxycodone because I've had to help a lot of people come off. That's a major addictive drug. But anyway, I won't go there now. So yes, so the pain. So let me give a description of calcium and magnesium, and then I'll get on to another subject called dehydration, and that's related to minerals as well, which might help you a lot with your people that you're working with. So this is what happens in the nervous system. Calcium contracts the muscles and magnesium relaxes the muscles. And that's how, and if you get a picture of a heartbeat, it contracts and then it pulls the blood in with contraction and it relaxes and then the blood goes out. That's how the heart beats. Or if you think of a centipede, it pulls like this and then like this and then like this and then like this. This part of it is the calcium, and this part of it is the magnesium. These are vital for the nervous system to function so that the heartbeat. I mean, if I kind of compare it to electricity coming into the house. So if the electricity is coming in and it's all working good, everything's working. Your computer's working, your lights are working, all's good. The minute there's interference, there's a flickering or something goes on with your power. Or like my computer wanted to say bye-bye to me.
Well, let me remind everybody, you are watching Putting Together Conversations. If you're joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter, please join the conversation. If you have a question, and if you're watching this on replay, still make a comment, ask the question, and I'll make sure that we get it over to Desiree. Today, we're talking about vitamins, deficiencies, and how to make our body, mind, and spirit feel better. So you're going to talk about dehydration.
Okay, but let me just first finish the subject of the contract and relax thing. Babies that get colic, they're deficient in the same thing. Constipation, same thing, because the colon is going like this and it's not releasing. So there's all kinds of different thingies, but basically calcium and magnesium are vital for the body to function efficiently. So now get on to dehydration. I have a question for you. Do you think that drinking water can dehydrate you?
Personally, I see it. There's more to that than just water, but I and you can see me drinking water through the whole conversation. But because I've seen the changes in me. Okay, so I'm going to do the disclaimer because this is a disclaimer. Because I have an ostomy, too much water is not good for me because I work a lot and I move around a lot, and it causes a lot of discharge. So it's very uncomfortable to be having to change my bag so often. But because I am vain and I like to look good, I've been incorporating more water into my system. Does that make sense?
Okay. So do you think drinking water can dehydrate you?
Dehydrate. Yes. I've heard of people that drink too much water and then it goes completely the other way. So yeah, I've seen that. Yes.
Okay. So good. That's actually, it's true. Drinking water, never mind too much or too little, can dehydrate you. And here's why. Because if you drink water, you pee. And you keep drinking water, you keep doing it, and you keep drinking, or you're sweating, or whatever you're doing, and you're losing more and more minerals. So the more minerals you lose, the worse the problem gets. So you get deficient. Now, I'm not even talking calcium, magnesium only here. I'm talking all kinds of minerals. So the body, if you took your blood and you analyzed it chemically, and you took seawater and you analyze that chemically, they're almost identical.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, your body is seawater. So basically, so it's so vital for the body. So what I do, and here's mine. I mean, it's one of these bottles, but I use this glass bottle. I've always water in my bottle, and I always put salt. And the salt I'm not talking about that white rubbish poison stuff you buy in the supermarket, or that is poison. It actually is poison. Wow. So it's one, I haven't got my salt here with me now. I should have brought it. But that is one part of the salt. And then what they do is they extract it, they refine it, and then they bleach it to make it white. Just get the picture.
Okay, I've heard about that. Yes, okay, yeah.
So that's not good at all. But if you take the salt, I use Celtic Sea Salt, CELTIC, Celtic Sea Salt, and I put it in all my drinking water. And then everybody's going to have a different amount. So I know exactly how much to put in mine now because I've been doing it so long. So you put enough salt into your water and shake it up, and if it tastes good, not flat, not salty, that's right for you. If it's too flat, no taste yet. A little bit more is needed. If it's too salty, obviously it's too much, and you just put more water. So basically, there's roughly about 80 minerals in that salt. 80 minerals. So
Wow.
yeah, and if you look at all the symptoms, I mean, it's like on my website page, which I didn't print off to share with you now, but it's about 40 symptoms. High blood pressure, symptom of deficiency of salt, which I'll also say something about. Just remind me, high blood pressure. Depression, foggy feelings, all kinds of tired, pain, can't sleep. All these things are also symptoms of mineral deficiency. And salt has got all these minerals. I sleep 8 to 9 hours because I want to, and I'm not awake, and if I wake up to go to the bathroom, it's like back to bed, fast asleep again. I don't have sleep issues. It's just amazing what your minerals are your most vital parts of your body. It's more vital than vitamins or anything like that, because it's the structure. It creates
Okay,
electrical current.
you just blew my mind away. First of all, I don't remember the last time that I comfortably slept for 8 hours. That is almost non-existent in my.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so you had me at sleep for 8 or 9 hours right there.
Okay.
But now I did know about like regular house salt. I do know the process,
Mm,
and I watched it in one of the YouTube videos about how they
mm.
bleach it. But I'd never heard about uh, Celtic Sea Salt. I had never heard about that, so I'm going to give that a try. And so,
Yeah.
what does doing that extra step? What does that do for you?
Well, basically, it's hydrating you. So so get the idea of a sponge, a very dried out sponge. It's completely dry, blah, blah. And you hold it under the faucet. The water just runs through it.
Right.
And that's what's happening in the human body. You're drinking this water, it's just going straight through you, and it's taking more and more nutrients and water soluble nutrients with it, and especially your minerals. So what's happening is you drink, this is what I say, you drink your pee, you drink your pee, you drink your pee. But if you've got the minerals, you probably find yourself peeing less, which is a good thing, because you want these minerals in your body doing their job. You don't want it to go in here, out here, in here, out here. You know what I mean? And then taking
Yeah.
more and more good stuff with it. So
Now
it's basic.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Now carry on.
Uh, but the addition to the question is how does it make you, Desiree? Like, how does Desiree feel in the mornings, and like, how does that make sense? Like,
I'm awake. I'm alert.
yeah,
I
that's
get
what I
up.
mean. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I get up and I get into
Does,
action, and I'm going to do my thing.
have you had times when have not been able to do your regular, and you notice a change in your body or in your system?
Not really, because I've kind of been doing this for so long. It's my habit. So
Gotcha.
I drink
Okay.
I drink CalMag in the morning, and I drink CalMag at night. And my water bottle, it's got the salt in it. So and if for any reason there's extra, maybe pressure on my life or whatever, because I mean, there's, especially through this last year or so, there's a lot of extra pressure. Um, I will take extra CalMag, and I'm always drinking the water, so it's whatever that. And yeah, you just keep your body hydrated is a very, very important point. And you
Gotcha.
might find, and even high blood pressure, let me just tell you about that. I've had several people come to see me. I do muscle testing. Do you know what muscle testing is?
And I do
Applied
not.
kinesis. Okay, so you basically take the person's arm, and I stand there and I push on the arm, and I get
Oh,
them to, yeah, applied kinesiology. So
gotcha.
then I
Gotcha.
push on the arm, and then I test, and then there's various points. And the hydration point I test is up here. Where when you're born, when you're a baby, and the skull meets
Mhm.
here, that point is where I check. And almost every single person I've ever tested poorly on that point. So it kind of, over the years, as I've been using this data and information, it's like, I now, to me, it's just like, it's I know it. I don't have to think about it. It doesn't surprise me anymore. It's natural and it's normal. So
Gotcha.
almost everybody I test is dehydrated. And I've had a few people come to see me whose blood pressure was high, and I tested them and they needed it. And I'm talking now, in those few years back, I could get the actual seawater, little glass tubes of seawater. It's called an ampoule, so it's just really one dose. And I would test them with it. And I mean, they needed like a heck of a lot of it, those people. And the one lady called her doctor in France, because she was here from France. She said, she's this, and he knows a lot about stuff too. He said, no, you can't take it, salt, your blood pressure, blah, blah, blah. But she didn't listen to him. She listened to me. The next day, her blood pressure was in normal zone.
Wow.
So it's vital for this heart, contract, relax, and all of that stuff. And that's what blood pressure is. Contraction,
Gotcha.
relaxation.
Now, in addition to the salt, in addition to CalMag-C and everything you do, what does Desiree's day look like? Is there exercise? What kind of foods do you eat? Is there anything like special that you do, or are you just
No,
are you normal like the rest of us?
Well, I don't, yeah. And you know what? I'm not actually even an exerciser, although I believe that it's good for you. But I'm going to be 71 this year. And when people walk with me, they can't keep up with me. It's like, and I mean, I have people saying, hold on, stop, slow down, because I'm like a, kind of person. But I've got a nutritional program that I put together based on Adele Davis's stuff that I learned over the years, and I've got it on my website, and it's great because it's got brewer's yeast in it. Is one of the ingredients. Brewer's yeast is, you got to get a non-GMO good food source. It's the most perfect source of B vitamins, and it's got some minerals in it. And it's not chemically blah, blah, and it's not like extracted just B1 or just blah, blah. It's in balance with nature. That stuff has been for me, when I was pregnant, I had my kids, and my milk was awesome. There was never an issue. And that's in this formula that I've put together on my website. Another one is lecithin. Now, I don't have a picture here to show you, but a lot of people have high cholesterol. And when people tell me they got high cholesterol, I know exactly what to do with them. And so if you put 2 glasses of water and oil, if you fill 2 glasses of water, where's the oil going to sit?
Doesn't it?
On the top. Yeah.
Doesn't it rise, right?
It floats on the top because it's got bigger particles. So I've got a demo, which I don't have here to show you now, of 2 glasses, exactly the same amount of oil and water. The one has got lecithin in it, and it's all mixed up. It's an emulsifier. So if you look at chocolate and cookies, they will talk about lecithin as an emulsifier. And that's what it does. They even use it to make paint, because paint has got lots of particles in it. So when they put the lecithin in, it breaks down the particles, so you get this beautiful, smooth look of paint. And this nutrition program, of that detox program I was telling you about earlier, that's one of the ingredients that we use to get this fat to emulsify and to come out of the fatty tissue and get out of the body. So it's vital. So cholesterol, when they say high cholesterol, all that's happening, and even like cataracts and stuff behind your eyes and stuff, it's the same phenomenon. You've got fat particles floating around in the bloodstream that are causing a problem. Interference or sticking on the side walls of the arteries, cataracts building up behind the eyes, so there's this pressure, so you can't see very well and all that. And lecithin is the emulsifier that I encourage people to use because it breaks that down. So that nutrition program I have has got that in it too. And there's a couple of other things in there too. Vitamin E is so crucial especially now with all this mask wearing nonsense. I want to use a stronger word, but I won't. I'll be polite. It is insane. And I attended a Pinellas County board briefing couple of months ago, and there were a lot of us there, and we stood up and spoke. And I just said to the doctor, "You are violating the Hippocratic Oath by making people do this, wear that mask. Because if you're not getting oxygen, your immune system is going down. Not only that, you're breathing out carbon dioxide and other poisons, but you're breathing them back in again because you're not getting fresh oxygen. So oxygen is so vital for the human body that, I mean, you can die without it. And Adele Davis, when I was pregnant with my first child, she talks about that, taking enough vitamin E before you'll go into labor. Because if something happens and the cord is stuck around the baby's neck, and you know what happens then, the baby gets strangulated and mostly, I think, probably dies. But if you've got enough vitamin E, the mother, it goes into the baby's body, and then the baby's got enough oxygen so it can help it to survive anything like that. So it's like there's just so many basics.
All right, let me just remind you, you were watching Putting Together Conversations. Thank you to everybody who's watching. Please send in your questions or comments. My guest today is Desiree Lutz, and we've been talking a lot about medical stuff, information stuff, nutritional stuff, and I want to make sure you go to the website. We're going to post that in a minute. And just the disclaimer, all of these comments and opinions are those of Desiree Lutz, so make sure that you follow her for any more information. This is about the time when we ask our guest to share some words of wisdom with our audience. And although you've been feeding me with lots of education today, what words of wisdom would you like to share?
Can I just say something before your audience goes to the website? We've just been having problems with the site, and they're fixing it at the moment, so hopefully they can get there. Okay, so my personal belief is, first of all, if you keep repairing cracks in the walls of your house, so you keep filling the cracks with that plaster, keep filling the cracks, you're just going to keep having cracks. The way to handle those cracks is to fix the foundation of the house. And the same goes for the human body. So if you keep having this symptom, that problem, this problem, you're going to keep having them. You have to go back to the basics and build the foundation of your body. Give it what it needs without chemicals and drugs and all kinds of big pharma stuff. You give it what it needs, and then that is your foundation. And if you get a little crack, find out what is missing in your foundation, and you put that in, and it'll help to keep things going again.
Excellent, thank you. So I'm going to make sure that we put up the website. This is the website where you can find more information. Go check it out. I played around there this morning a little before the show started, so there's a lot of information. There's a lot of information. There's get informed, get educated, find out what works for your body. And remember, again, the disclaimer, this is not a medical show, so make sure that you do seek your professional advice from your doctors and such. And all the opinions are those of Desiree Lutz, so just disclaimers for all that. What's in the future for Desiree? What are we working on now? What do you want to do?
Well, I mean, it's very interesting because I've got a few people that private label my product. One of them is a weight loss health coach because of the detox effect. When people are detoxing, they get a lot of discomfort. So she's got my CalMag private label. I've got another one who's working on a private label right now for whatever. But what I love and really find very interesting too is I have a lady who has a veterans soup kitchen, and she ordered like 100 bottles last year, and I didn't know this at the time, but eventually I found out because she contacted me. She said, "You know what? We make the CalMag, we put it in the soup that we give to the veterans." And I'm like, holy moly, I never thought of that. That was clever. So now we working together, building up, going to be expanding into lots of different soup kitchens and stuff like that. But another clever idea that she has too is to make the CalMag and put it in the ice tray in the freezer. And
Huh.
yeah, I mean, it's just so I'm working more in that kind of direction. And my whole purpose is to calm the planet down, to calm people down, help get their body. If you get your body's basic foundation in, like I said earlier, your tension will go off your body and outwards. So that means spiritually and mentally outwards. So you can look around you, have fun with people. You don't have to be like, you know, constantly being struggling with the body. That's part of my purpose, is to get that attention outwards.
It's pretty cool. I don't want to leave without thanking Barry Kaziar from Green Dragon Communications. Thank you for putting this interview together. Um, don't go away. Let me just make some of my own personal announcements. So I want to remind everybody, this is Put It Together Conversations, but make sure you follow all of our other shows. On Wednesdays, we have the Christian and Daniel show at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. The Card Devo is every Friday nights at 5 p.m. and Put It Together Conversations on Saturdays at noon and 5. But hey, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And make sure you hit those notification buttons so that you get noticed when we have a special show like today. Because every once in a while, we just like to surprise you with a little special show. Also, for those of you that have been following for a while, my book, Grumpy Bunny and the Colors Game, illustrated by Jennifer and Vivian Gatch. Go check it out. It's available at any of these fine bookstores. You can find it online. Grumpy Bunny and the Colors Game is a meditation book dedicated to children, but even for adults, if you're finding it hard to meditate, try it out. Go find Grumpy Bunny and the Colors Game. Check it out. You are definitely an encyclopedia. We're down to the last 8 minutes of the show, but you are such an encyclopedia of information. Are you constantly researching and studying and building your mental library?
Yep. And anytime, yeah. And when people ask me certain questions, like somebody's got tinnitus, how do I handle that? And also, by the way, just to mention, my book on dehydration is currently being edited and sorted out, and will also be published soon. So, so people can see and the symptoms and easy, you know. There's so much to know, and there's no ways that anybody can know it all.
Okay,
And,
so I have to ask this before we go, Desiree. So, because I've got, so what is your favorite go-to snack when you feel like you need something that, like your guilty pleasure?
oh my golly, I don't actually have one.
No way. Okay. I was trying to catch her, folks. I was like, she's got to have some spice in there. She's got to have something there.
Yeah.
Well, I
like
hope that
I like coffee. I like 2 cups of coffee a day.
Yeah, I was like, we've got to connect somehow, Desiree. We got to connect somehow.
Coffee a day.
Coffee, okay? Because I haven't had my coffee today, but I'm about to do my TikTok show. Yeah, I'm about to do my TikTok show, so I have coffee while I do that show. So we're going to do that. Well, I hope that you will come back and promote your book on the show once this comes out.
Yeah, it should be out in the next couple of weeks. But yeah, and it was great talking to you too, to know what you do, helping those people with all these different problems and stuff. I love it.
You know, one of the Little Mexican Productions, which is what this is under. We're a social enterprise. So part of our production mantra or mission statement is that we're not just here to grow our company, we're here to grow the community. We educate, entertain, and energize our community. And so everything we put out is we want folks to be better. Just go and be the best version you can of yourself, body, mind, and spirit. We're not just focusing on one thing, we want to focus on everything. So conversations like yours are part of that. Like, hey, if you're and I know this as a survivor, I call it a conqueror. I'm a cancer conqueror. Having conquered anal cancer, I know what it feels like when your body doesn't listen to your mind and it's doing its own thing. And then your spirit kind of gives up for a minute and goes, well, if body and mind aren't playing together, I don't want to play either. And
that's a good way of putting it. I love it.
Yeah. And it took me several years to finally get my body where I'm like, I'm like, I can sleep I can rest. I can sit.
Mm,
I can go.
mm,
I don't like exercising. I don't believe in walking for fun. What do you mean? No, I don't. But I do go for walks when I have to. Uh,
mm,
but I like learning things that you're teaching right now, because then I can go tell somebody else. It's like, hey, what are you taking in, body, mind, and spirit?
mm.
And I can say, well, I learned this. Have you given this a try?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've seen this. Sometimes we're so surprised that changing one thing, just
Uh-huh.
one little thing, and the ripple effect of that, it's just
Mm-hmm.
you wake up the next day, you're like, how did that happen?
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen? So thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and knowledge and experience.
I've got one more
Anything else
thing I
before we
want to
go?
say. I
Yeah,
want one more thing to say, and based on what you said about the spirit and the mind, is please, guys, do not watch mainstream media, or I'm sure you don't, but that is the worst. That's where it's going to affect you mentally, and ugh, so much false data and so much misinformation and so much bad news. I don't go near that personally.
yeah. I tell folks, do your homework, do your homework, do your homework.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
like everything is, and honestly, okay, we're not gonna get to. We'll talk off camera about that. But for everybody watching, my guest today is Desiree Lutz with CalMag-C. Go check it out. Go check her website out. All the information is on there. Where is it? There we are. There we are. Go check it out. As she mentioned, depending on when you're watching this video, there might be some glitches on there, but don't worry. Keep going back. It's packed with information. Let me tell you. You've been a pleasure to speak with. Thank you so much. And again, thank
Thank
you
you.
to Barry over at Green Dragon Communications for putting this together. If somebody out there, if you would like to share your story, why is my computer? Now my computer's acting up. If you would like to share your story, make sure you get in touch with us here at Little Mexican Productions to be on the show. Anything else before you go, Desiree?
No, thank you very much. I so enjoyed that with you.
My pleasure.
And make
I
sure you
will.
put salt in that water.
I am going to go and order some right now
Yeah.
to make sure that I start that. I'm going to change that thing, see what it does, and then I'll report back to you. Uh,
Okay.
but I'm gonna say this out. Before we started the show, Desiree said, "How long is your show?" I said, "An hour." She's like, "I don't know that I can talk for an hour." I said, "I'm sure we got this. Sure we got this." And it's only because we're a minute away from the end of the show. Otherwise, I think we could keep going for a long time. But
Uh-huh.
please let's have you back on the show. I feel like you have so much more information to share with my audience, and the health community that I'm sure can benefit a lot of people.
Great. Would love it.
Excellent. So I'm going to put you back in the green room. Don't go anywhere, Desiree. I'll be right back for you. For everybody watching, thank you so much for joining us. I hope that this conversation inspired, motivated you to go on your own journey. Make sure that you stay in touch, follow us, subscribe, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter. Make sure that you follow us. If you're on YouTube watching this right now, would you scroll down, hit that subscribe button, and like this video? That really helps us a lot. For now, I want to thank all of you for following us. Remember, put it together conversation. It's a show about you folks, where you come from, where you are now, and what your journey is like. And let's share our story and inspire and motivate others to go after their own dreams and goals. For now, I want to thank you for watching us. This is Daniel Garza saying, hey, put it together. Bye, folks.